तुझसे ही तो मिली है राहत, तू ही तो मेरी है चाहत।
Yeah, I'm so happy. I mean, it's amazing. She said excitedly, and Seojun smiled, quietly admiring her. You remember when we were in college? Those days were the best, she said, smiling at the memory. Yeah, they really were. I wish I could go back to college again. Her voice trailed off as she got lost in her thoughts. From a distance, Jungkook watched her quietly, his gaze soft and unfocused, almost lost in thought. He didn't even realize how long he would been staring until Jaehoon leaned closer and whispered teasingly now. Hey, we are in cafeteria. If you keep staring like that, it won't look good at her. Jungkook blinked, pulling his eyes away, and Jaehoon smirked knowingly. It was just a fake relationship, right? Then why do I feel like you're actually attracted to her? He asked, stirring his coffee lazily. It's nothing. The guy sitting in front of her. She loves him. His voice turned cold. Jaehoon's smile faded a little, glancing toward at Seonjun and Mayan. For real? She's weird. I feel like your luck isn't too good when it comes to love. I never tried. I don't want to, he said flatly, picking up his cup. Why do I feel like you say one thing and but mean another? Means? I mean, you deny it with words, but deep down you're craving for real love. Jungkook shot him a sharp glance, then looked away. He stood up abruptly. Rubbish, he muttered, walking off. You can call it rubbish, but it's true. Stop talking rubbish. Hey, listen. You know Somi's coming, right? I know. Then pick her up from the airport. Jungkook sighed but didn't reply, his steps steady and calm. Then suddenly he shifted his gaze across the cafeteria. Wine had just stood up, smiling brightly as something Seojin said. But the moment her eyes met Jungkook's, her smile faltered. For a brief second, the room went quiet inside her head. Her heart raced, her breath caught. Seojin quickly bore toward Jungkook, and Jungkook gave a polite nod without breaking his stare from her. She looked down, pretending to fix her sleeve, trying to calm the pounding chest in her head. And without a word, Jungkook turned away and walked off, his expression unreadable, but his eyes had already said enough. We have to get this project, no matter what. It's a big one. He looked around the boardroom, his tone firm but motivating. The clients are visiting multiple competitors and the competition is tough. We need to make sure they choose us. Everyone nodded, focused. If we lock this deal, it won't be just a good business. It'll open doors, more projects, bigger opportunities, and yes, promotions too, as it is a pilot project. He paused, letting the words sink in. And from my side, I'll make you promise. If HR doesn't do it first, I'll take everyone out for dinner once we crack this deal. The room filled with soft chuckles and renewed energy, his confidence infectious. The room buzzed slightly with motivation after Jungkook's word. Mines glanced at him from her seat, noticing how effortlessly he commanded the attention, confident, calm, and precise. No wonder everyone respects him. He knows exactly what to say. Alright, Surgeon, you'll handle the creative layout. I want the first draft on my desk tomorrow by morning. Yes, sir. Fine, I need you to coordinate with the finance team and make sure the proposal numbers are realistic, nowhere promising. Understood, sir. He gave her a brief look, professional, but something unspoken lingered for a second, too long before he turned back to the theme. Everyone else, check your emails. I have shared the client brief. We are meeting again at 5 p.m. sharp for updates. As he gathered his notes, the team began to disperse. One stayed seated for a moment, clutching her pen, her thoughts scattered. Then just as she stood up, she heard his voice again, softer this time. Mission, just stay back for a minute. Her heart skipped a beat. She turned, unsure what to expect. As he leaned casually against the edge of the conference table, eyes focused on her. You did well yesterday. The presentation slides you made, clean and confident. Thank you, sir. Keep that up, Muffin. Her eyes widen slightly. Yes, sir. I'm joking, don't take it seriously. He closed his laptop and finally looked at her properly. She pressed her lips together, trying not to show how nervous she felt. Um, I wanted to say something. If you get any call from my mom, don't pick it up. What? Yeah, she somehow got your number. Probably took it from me when I wasn't paying attention. He scratched the back of his neck, half smiling. I didn't tell her the truth, so just don't answer, okay? I'll handle it my way. She nodded slowly, still processing everything. They stood there for a moment, the air quiet between them. Can I go now, sir? Please? He smiled politely. She turned to leave. Muffin. Her heart skipped a beat. She shut her eyes for a moment, exhaling sharply before turning around to glare at him. He was laughing, clearly enjoying himself. Actually, I wanted to ask, can you come to dinner with me after office? If you don't have other plans. She blinked, caught off guard, staring at him for a moment before nodding slowly. Okay, anyway, I wanted to talk to you. He raised an eyebrow, about to ask what she meant. Okay, why? She said in one breath and turned to leave before he could say anything more. Bye. He watched her walk out, that faint smile still lingering on his lips. This is my favorite restaurant, he said, glancing around with a relaxed smile. It's really nice, cozy. Yeah, and the best part, no one from the office ever comes here, he said, half grinning as if proud of his secret spot. So, this is your secret hideout? Exactly, my peaceful zone. He leaned back comfortably, still looking at her. So, what do you want to eat? He asked, passing her the menu. Something delicious, I'm starving, she said, eyes lightening up, and he couldn't help but smile at how gently she excited to look. Starving, huh? You sure you won't eat table before the food comes? Keep talking and I just might. He chuckled, shaking his head as the waiter approached to take their order. The waiter placed 2 glasses of water on the table, and Jungkook gestured for wine to go first. I'll have creamy pasta with garlic bread, please. Sure, ma'am. And for you, sir? Same for me, and one tiramisu for dessert. He handed the menu back with a polite nod. As the waiter left, Ryan looked at him curiously. You like tiramisu? It's my favorite. Sweet but not too much. Like the balance I want in life. Deep words for dessert. I'm deep man mission. So what did you want to talk about? Her playful expression softened. She looked down at the table, gathering her thoughts. It's about what you said earlier, about not lying to your mom. He leaned in slightly, curious but says nothing. I mean, I probably shouldn't ask this, but first you asked me to be your fake girlfriend, and then suddenly you said you didn't want that anymore. You could have just found someone real instead. Why lie? Why avoid marriage? He watched her intently, lips parting for a second before curving into a faint smile. I knew you would ask that. I told you not to. But you're not that type to stay quiet, huh? He exhaled deeply, his gaze dropping to the untouched glass of water in front of him. Alright, the truth is I don't want to get married because I feel like it would be a crime to ruin someone's life. Her brows furrowed slightly, confusion flickering across her face. Ruin someone's life. I don't understand. He let out a slow breath, his voice quieter now. Because I'm not good as I look, Ryan. I act calm, I act nice. But deep down, I know I'm not easy to live with. I have my own mess and I don't want anyone else to get involved in this. I have seen the side of myself that's not easy to deal with. The one that doesn't talk, doesn't explain, just shut down. I can be cold when I'm hurt, harsh when I'm under pressure, and that's not the kind of man I wanted to marry and suffer with. He looked away for a moment, his gaze drifting toward the restaurant's glass window where the dim city lights blurred into the golden grey. I watched my father do that to my mother. He was a great man to the world, but not at home. I promised myself I would never become like him, but sometimes when I'm angry or lost, I see same patterns and it scares me. Wine sat there silently, her fingers nervously tracing the edge of the napkin. His tone wasn't defensive, it was raw, almost fragile. But that doesn't mean you'll become him. You are not your father. He smiled faintly, the kind of smile that carried more sadness than comfort. Maybe, but I can't risk someone else's peace just because I hope I'll be better. There was a pause, only the faint music in the background and the clinking of glasses from nearby tables filled the space. A pause hung between them, only the soft hum of music and the faint clinking of cutlery filled in the space. Since I was old enough to understand, I have seen my mother suffer. They were always fighting, and I hate saying this that I don't like my father. He's the worst man I know, and somehow I carried his blood. Some of him is in me, whether I like it or not. He stared down at the table, voice low. I don't want to fight anymore. I just want peace, and I find that peace when I am alone. He gave a small smile, weary, and he finally looked at her. If I ever ended up doing someone that what my father did to my mother, I could never forgive myself, even if it happened without meaning to. And the worst part, she is still living with that man who never deserved her. Without thinking, mine reached out gently, held his hand. He froze for a second, his eyes softening as he looked around. I understand you. Don't tell me you have felt this kind of pain too. She gave a small, sad smile. Who hasn't? It's rare to meet someone who's never seen their parents fight. In my case, they didn't do it in front of me, but I saw it anyway. I was hiding behind the doors, pretending I didn't. Her smile faded, replaced by a quiet ache. I don't really believe in marriage either, but maybe, just maybe that 0.1% chance destiny might have other plans. Otherwise, I'm fine being alone if society let me live that way. Wine looked at him, startled but not scared, while he sighed and closed his eyes for a second. I'm sorry. She shook her head gently, offering a faint smile. You've always been a great father to me, but on the other hand, I have seen him treat his own wife like she doesn't exist. Her voice wavered slightly, and she tried to laugh it off, but the pain in her eyes didn't hide. My father is the kind of man who's emotionally unavailable. She gave a small, helpless chuckle, and my mom, she's the complete opposite. She feels everything way too much, and I feel her pain too. She looked down at her hands, her thumb brushing over her palm nervously. It's sad watching someone who deserved the world act like she's fine with less. I have always felt so helpless for her. Her voice cracked slightly, and Jungkook's gaze softened. He didn't interrupt, just watched the sound of her words lingering between them. After a pause, she looked up, forcing a faint smile. But that's life, right? We should never lose hope. The world still runs on it. Jungkook shook his head with a small sigh. Never trust a man. Mine chuckle amused. That's coming from you. Hey, don't laugh. If a man's the one giving this advice, you should probably take it seriously. She giggled, raising her hands in mock surrender. Okay, sir, I'll keep that in mind. He smiled faintly, watching her warmth replaced with the heaviness in the air. For a moment, both just sat quiet, comfortable, and oddly at peace. Here we go, you're home, he said softly as the car stopped, and Vine took a deep breath before turning to look at him. It's been great being with you. You are unique, and I like that. He smiled a little shyly, his eyes glancing toward her before resting on the steering wheel again. I like you too. Her smile faltered for just a second, her heart skipping a beat. but she quickly forced it back, pretending to take it lightly. He exhaled, resting his elbow near the window. It feels like I actually talked after ages. Last time I had a proper talk like this was back in the US. There I had this one friend, she used to listen to me. Her lips curved into a faint smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Like me, he looked at her, then shook his head with a gentle grin. Nah, I told you. Never met anyone like you. You're cute. Mind blinked off guard, her heart hurting fast. You really need to stop saying things like that, sir. Why? Makes you blush every time? She gasped softly, turning away to hide her face. He chuckled quietly, that low lingering in the air, even after she stepped out of the car. A moment later, his voice called out behind her. Mission. She turned confused as he walked around the car holding her bag. Your bag, ma'am. Why the hurry? You know I love to play with you. Don't take me so seriously. You need to stop saying that, cupcake. His eyes widened immediately. Whoa, whoa, hold on. From sir to John to cupcake. Are you okay, Machine? Aren't you being too friendly? She stepped closer, tilting her head with a mischievous glint in her eyes. You never set any boundaries between us, did you? He stared at her for a second, the air suddenly thicker between them. Should I? Your choice. I have loved breaking rules since childhood anyway. She snatched her bag from his hand, still smiling. You're weird, and you're dumb. He gave her a sharp look. I'm your boss, Mission. Alright, you're dumb, sir. He sighed, half annoyed, half amused, while she tried not to laugh. Go. She looked at him for a moment. Then, before he could process it, she tiptoed and wrapped her arms around him. His whole body froze. Here is the one piece of advice for you. Since you love giving me yours, never lose hope in life. It's just one life, John. Live it fully, be happy. She stepped back, smiling warmly. Yes, well, bye. And before he could even find the words, she was already walking away, leaving standing there, staring at her. He touched his chest, feeling the heartbeat hammering under his palm, and shut his eyes with a faint, disbelieving smile. We got the project. The room erupted in cheers and applause. Everyone who had been holding their breath finally exhaled in relief and excitement. I would like to thank you all for the hard work you have put in. It's commendable, truly. A few smiled widened around the table. Even Wine, sitting quietly near the end, felt her chest fill with the pride as she looked at him, his usual cold expression replaced by the genuine happiness. Guess the dinner is on me now, huh? Laughter spread through the room as he leaned back slightly, watching his team celebrate. And thought it was subtle, his gaze found Wine for a brief second, just long enough her to catch it before he looked away again, that faint smile still lingering on his face. Be ready at 7 p.m. The room burst into cheers again. Everyone clapped, exchanging excited looks. It wasn't often their boss himself suggested a team outing, especially that one sounded like a celebration. Jungkook was mid-conversation when a sudden tap on his shoulder made him turn, and the moment he saw her, a wide grin spread across his face. You liar, she laughed, wrapping her arms around him before he could react. Jungkook bit his lips, a little guilty, smiling, tugging at his lips. Sorry, I really did forget. I know your habits, that's why I asked Jaehoon instead. Jungkook chuckled softly, scratching the back of his neck as she playfully smacked his arm. Across the office, quiet murmurs rippled through the team as everyone watched them walking side by side toward his cabin, laughter and easy familiarity between them. Sergeant leaned closer to Ryan, lowering his voice. They seemed close. I didn't respond immediately, her gaze fixed on the glass door that had just closed behind them, her expression unreadable. Yeah, they do. Surgeon studied her for a moment. Where you lost? She blinked and shook her head lightly. And nothing. There was a pause before he spoke again, tone casual. I was saying, maybe we can skip the team dinner tonight. Go somewhere else instead, just us. She looked at him, caught off guard. It's a big moment for everyone. If you're not there, it wouldn't look right, I guess. Does it really matter to you? Mine opened her mouth to respond and stopped midway, forcing a faint smile instead. Some other day, let's just join team dinner. He sighed, nodding with a small smile. Okay, as if you say. Hey everyone, quick update. Our team dinners has been postponed. Sejong had to leave for some urgent work, so it's rescheduled for the day after tomorrow. You should have received the email by now, he said, clapping his hands once to get everyone's attention. A collective sigh swept through the office. We already knew it. The project's done, so this was bound to happen. Nothing new, Sejong and his surprises. The murmurs turned into lighter half amusement. A few people rolled their eyes, returning to their scenes, the buzz of keyboard filling the space again. Wine quietly exhaled, brushing a loose strand of her hair behind her ear across the desk. Seojin caught her eyes and mouted, "See the message." Already replied. Seojin raised a brow in surprise, watching as she stood. Gathering her notepad, she gave him a subtle wave before walking toward the hallway. He chuckled under his breath. She always one step ahead. He asked me to come to dinner. There was a sharp gasp from the other side. Wait, what? So it's a date? He asking you on a date? Mine leaned back against the wall, her expression unreadable. I don't think so. It's just a normal dinner. Her sigh was just almost in the static of the call. What do you mean just a dinner? You should be happy. He's the one asking this time. It's literally what you always wanted. Ryan's gaze dropped to the floor, her fingers absently tracing the edge of her phone. Bro, you have been into him since college. What happened? Do you sound like you are not even excited? Maybe because it doesn't feel the same way anymore. Her voice was low, almost a whisper. What do you mean? Back then I used to imagine it differently. Like if he ever asked me out, I would probably freak out or spend hours picking the dress. She exhaled softly, her shoulder lifting in a small shrug. But now, it just feels complicated. There was a stretch of a silence on that light. Mind's gaze drifted to the window, the city light shimmering against the glass as through the echoing the quiet confusion in her heart. Then don't make it complicated. Just go. No pressure, no expectations. Just dinner. Maybe it will give you some clarity. Clarity, huh? I'll try. But you know me, I'll probably overthink everything before dessert. And overthink in a cute dress, babe. I let out a small laugh, the kind that sounded more like an exhale. And the call ended. She stayed still for a moment, phone in hand, her smile fading into quiet uncertainty as she looked out at night sky. Sometimes I think about how far we have come from college to this. Never thought we would end up working together like this. Yeah, she mumbled just as the waiter arrived with their food. She was about to pick up her fork when her eyes caught a familiar figure across the room. Her posture straightened instantly. Is that really him, or I am hallucinating? She stole a quick glance, then froze. It was him, Jungkook, sitting a few tables away, facing her direction with the same woman from that morning. Her heart skipped. The air suddenly felt heavier. She tried to focus on Surgeon, nodding to whatever he was saying, but her mind was already gone blank. Where is Jeon? She looked around. Jungkook scanned the restaurant, glancing this way and that. I don't know. He said he would be here before us. His eyes caught Wine for a moment. She quickly looked away. Jungkook paused, a little uneasy. Huh? Uh, y- yeah. He said he would be come early. I guess he's running late. Listen, both of you, don't pull any stunt at my wedding. I swear I'll beat the shit out of you if you do. Jungkook blinked, surprised by her sudden fierceness. What kind of wedding invite is this? It sounds more like a threat than an invite. Somi just grinned, clearly enjoying the moment. It's what it is. Ask Jaehoon to come quickly. I gotta go. Jungkook nodded and kept glancing at her. Surgeon looked at Wine and chuckled softly. You're still a messy eater, he said, laughing as he reached for a tissue. Before she could react, he gently wiped the corner of her mouth while Rose got completely off guard by his sudden, familiar gesture. Her eyes lifted to meet his, and for a second the air between them still quite unsure yet strangely familiar. She can see him looking other side while she just stared down at her plate, pretending to focus on her food. You know, I really miss just talking like this. Vine smiled but didn't look up. Yeah, me too. But her mind wasn't entirely there. Her heart was still racing from the sight across the restaurant. Jungkook's eyes meeting hers for that fleeting second that felt anything but accident. I'll be back. Somi barely looked up, eyes still glued on to her phone. Yeah, sure. And please ask Jaehoon to come quickly. He nodded absently, already half lost in thought. As he pushed his chair back, the noise of the restaurant faded into a dull hum as he walked away, slowly, deliberately toward the other side. Every few steps, his gaze drifted to her. She was there, seated near the window, the golden evening light catching her hair, her fingers nervously fidgeting with the fog. She smiled faintly at the man across from her, but Jungkook could see it. The subtle tension in her shoulder, the way her gaze kept slipping away, the soft unease behind her calm. You didn't check this yet, he said cheerfully, sliding a plate closer to her. I ordered this one for you. Mine blinked, a little confused, but nodded with a polite smile. Oh, sure. Surgeon leaned back, a small, hopeful grin tugging at his lips as she lifted the cover. The moment she did, her breath caught. Her heart lurched, eyes widening as she looked up at him. Surgeon smiled, nervous but genuine. Waiting, he reached into his jacket and pulled a small velvet box, setting it gently beside her hand. For a moment, she froze. Her fingers trembled slightly as she stared down at the words, her pulse racing for reasons she couldn't quite name. I know it's sudden, but I didn't want to wait anymore. He smiled, his tone warm, steady, like someone who would finally gather the courage he would be holding in for years. But before she could even form a response, her gaze flicked to the side. Across the restaurant, Jungkook stood frozen mid-step, phone still pressed to his ears, eyes locked on her for a heartbeat neither of them moved. Her lips parted slightly, panic, confusion flashing in her eyes. Jungkook's jaw tightened, his expression unreadable, but his stare burning with something raw. The air between all three of them felt like it could shatter at any second. Her eyes glistened, then Surgeon slowly went down on one knee. His hand rose hesitantly before cuffing her face. Wine froze, her heartbeat catching at his touch, too much, too fast, too exposed. I know you like me to wine. We always did. We just never said it. His words landed softly, but her world spun louder with every second. Her throat tightened. She wanted to speak, but nothing came out, and then she felt it. That familiar shift in the air. Her eyes flicked sideways just in time to catch a glimpse of Jungkook turning away. The briefest trace of something hurt, maybe disappointed, flickered in his expression. He muttered something to Somi. A second later, they both walked toward the exit. She didn't know why, but her chest suddenly ached. A quiet unease crawled up her to spine, as if something inside her had just slipped out of alignment. Ryan, his voice pulled her back. She blinked, realizing she had been staring blankly at the door. I need some time. Her voice trembled as she looked down, avoiding his eyes. Susan's smile faltered slightly, confusion flickering across his face. I'm not sure. Her words cold, her heart racing, but her mind was somewhere else entirely, following the fading sound of footsteps that had been already left. Ryan walked into the office, lost in her thoughts, but soon she noticed people whispering, gossiping in a small group. Her brows furrowed as she quietly made her way to her desk, trying to understand what was going on. She looked around, searching for one person, but he wasn't there. Worried, she walked up toward her colleague. What's happening? She asked softly. The woman looked at her strangely and then sighed. You really don't know? Or you're pretending not to? One frowned in confusion. I don't know what you're talking about. The woman crossed her arms, her tone turning sharp. Your friend manager Sergeant, he has been caught in another senior manager asking for favors from a new employee. Mine froze, her heart skipped a beat. Sergeant is really angry today. That's not true, she murmured, shaking her head. The woman chuckled bitterly. Of course you would take its side. He's your friend. Maybe you got your position from that through that too. Anne stood there speechless as the woman walked away. Her mind went blank, her chest tight with disbelief. Ryan walked over Jungkook's cabin, her palms slightly sweaty, her thudding nervously. She raised her hand to knock, but before she could, someone spoke behind her. Ma'am, sir isn't inside. He is in the conference room. She froze, lowering her hand slowly. Oh, when will we be free? Her voice came quieter than she intended. No, sure, ma'am. It's been about an hour since the meeting started. Ryan nodded faintly, lost in thought. Okay, thank you, she said softly and walked away, her mind buzzing. It can't be true. There's no way surgeon would do something like that. But then another thought crossed her mind, sharp, unsettling. Did he do this on purpose? Because of yesterday? Her steps slowed as she reached the hallway near the conference room. Curiosity and dread strangled in her chest. She hesitated for a moment and leaned slightly to peek through the glass door. Her eyes widened instantly. Jungkook's voice roared through the room. He shoved a chair aside, his face burning with fury as he grabbed someone by collar. Papers flew off the table, scattered across the floor. The air inside was thick with fear. No one dared to move and no one dared to speak. Her breath, she had never seen him like this before, so raw, so furious, so utterly out of control. Then suddenly the door swung open, startled. She had stepped aside, just in time as Jungkook stormed out. Short, tight eyes dark. He tugged at his tie, loosening his roughly as he walked past her, his energy heavy, furious, and deadly. Stood frozen, heart pounding as he disappeared down to the corridor toward his cabin. Slowly she turned back to the conference room and peeked inside again. Sojan was there, had lowered his face pale. A few others sat with their hands on their heads shaken. She took one hesitant step forward, wanting to ask to understand, but something inside stopped her. Her throat tightened, and instead of going in, she turned away, walking to the hall, mind spinning with questions she wasn't ready to face. Ryan knocked softly, but he didn't look up, didn't even flinch. His pen kept moving across the papers on his desk as if he hadn't heard a thing. So may I come in? No response, not even a glance. Her fingers curled into a feet at her side, anxiety gripping her spine. He kept writing for a few seconds before finally settling the pen down. He's standing up, collecting the stack of files. His movements were precise, detained, but his eyes cold and unreadable. As he grabbed his blazer and started to walk past her, Ryan stepped forward, blocking his path. Sir. He stopped, lifting his gaze to her at last. The tension in his face was sharp, short, tight, eyes dark, Head heavy with something between exhaustion and anger. I want to talk to you. A brief silence followed before his voice came low and cold. Kang, yes sir. Take these papers to the conference room. I'll be there in a minute. Kang nodded, took the files from his hand, and slipped out quietly, closing the door behind him. Mine's throat went dry as the door shut behind Kang, leaving the room tense and heavy. Jungkook finally looked at her, his expression unreadable, jaw-tight, eyes dark like storm he was trying to contain. I just want to talk. You want to talk what? The sudden weight of a stone made her flinch slightly, but she didn't move. Her hands clenched her sides, trying to keep steady. What happened today? Seojun would never do something like that. There must be some misunderstanding. He looked up, expression blank, giving her nothing. He can't do that, I know him. Jungkook exhaled sharply, crossing his arms across his chest. So you came here to be his lawyer? His tone cut through the air, and she froze for a moment. Well, I don't have time for this. He turned to leave, but her voice came quickly, shaky, desperate. So, she paused. His back was still to her. We are not together. We are not dating. Whatever you think you saw yesterday wasn't what it looked like. I didn't even know what he was going to do. That made him turn. His brows furrowed slightly, eyes narrowing. Why are you telling me this? She took a nervous breath and stepped closer, her voice trembling but steady enough to make him listen. If you're doing this intentionally to get back at him, then don't. I'm telling you, I'm not with him. For a moment, silence, then a low, bitter chuckle escaped his lips. Why would I do that? And why does it even matter to me if you two are saying or not? She hesitated, her voice barely above a whisper. Because you like me. His jaw tightened instantly, his gaze hardening. Are you living in some kind of trauma mission? The tone in his voice sent a chill down her spine, but she didn't back off. Because it feels intentional. He stepped closer, voice dropping to a low, cutting edge. Wake up mission. This is reality, not one of your fantasies. I don't scheme, I don't plot, and I don't care enough to separate anyone. Do you seriously think I would do that? Her breath trembled, but she pushed through. Then why only after the gesture? Why after you saw us together? He exhaled sharply, pressing his fingers against his temple as if holding back his temper. Then without a word he reached onto his pocket, pulled out his phone, mind frowned in confusion until he pressed play. A faint audio began to fill the silence, muffled voices echoing through the room. As she silenced, her face drained of color, her body stiffened, her hands slowly trembling at her side. The realization hit her like a punch to the chest. Halfway through, he stopped the recording. You won't be able to handle the rest. He slid the phone back into his pocket, his eyes cold, unreadable. Her lips parted, a soft gasp escaping as a tear traced down her cheek. She covered her mouth, disbelief clouding her gaze, the sound of that recording still echoing in her mind, tearing through everything she thought she understood. He turned away, eyes shutting tightly for a brief second as if to contain the storm within him. Then he started to walk until her broken whisper stopped him. This can't be true. That single sentence snapped something inside him. In an instant he turned back, his jaw clenched so tight it looked painful. He grabbed her by her arms and pulled her closer, his breath sharp, his eyes blazing. Have you gone crazy? Huh? Have you completely lost your mind? How can you trust so blindly? She stared at him with tear-filled eyes, silent, trembling, her face mixed of pain and exhaustion. He is just a man, a coward, pathetic liar. Do you understand that? He shook her head slightly with each word, his anger bleeding into desperation while her tears slid freely, silence answering rage, heartbreak meeting fury. You still don't get it, do you? That man you are defending, he was using you, he was using everyone. No, you are wrong. He looked at her, eyes red with suppressed emotions. You think I would ruin someone's career just because I'm jealous? You think so little of me? Her breath hissed. His voice cracked at the end, not out of anger, but something deeper, something that sounded like a pain. Then why are you so angry? Jungkook's chest rose and fell heavily, his eyes blazing yet trembling with something he couldn't contain. Angry because the girl in front of me, the one I adore, is defending a cowardly dog. Angry because the woman I... He stopped himself, jaw clenching hard. The woman I like the most is protecting a damn womanizer. His voice dropped lower, raw and rough. Pine froze, her vision blurring as tears streamed down her face. She covered her, shaking her head. He was my best friend. Her voice cracked and his expression faltered instantly. For a heartbeat, the fury in his eyes softened, replaced by something that looked a lot like guilt. I thought it was a lie. I wanted to believe it was a mistake. Her words broke between grasp and Jungkook's throat tightened. So you blame me? She couldn't answer. Only more tears came as her shoulders shook. Her silence spoke louder than words. For a long second he just stood there, watching her fall apart, his hands curling into fist at his side, eyes glistening through. He refused to let the tears fall. Then without another word he turned away. The sound of the door opening, closing echoed in the empty room. Vine dropped to her knees, her body trembling as she buried her face in her palm. The moment he walked out, the strength she had been holding onto shattered completely. She stood there on the terrace, eyes red, staring blankly at the sky. As the evening breeze brushed past her, the ache in her chest refused to settle. Her tears finally slowing but not stopping. A soft rustle broke her thoughts. A handkerchief appeared in front of her. She blinked, glancing sideways, and there he was. Jungkook stood silently beside her, expression calm but eyes tired. She hesitated for a second, then looked away, wiping her tears with her own hands instead. Before she could even move, his hands reached out and gently but firmly pulling her into his arms. Her breath hissed, her eyes shutting tight as she sank into his chest. The moment his warmth wrapped around her, the last bit of her composure broke. Her fingers clutched his shirt weakly, muffled sobs escaping. I don't want to fight with you. She let out a shaky breath, her words coming out broken between tears. I'm sorry. He tightened the hold around her, resting his chin gently on her head. I understand you, don't be sorry. For a long while they just stood there, wrapped in the quiet night, the hum of the city fading into nothing. Neither spoke, yet everything that needed to be said hung in the air between them. Jungkook finally broke the silence, his voice low, almost a whisper, against her ear. I told you not to trust any man. Mine clutched him tighter, her fingers curling into his shirt, as if she could hide from the ache in her chest. I was scared for you, that someday someone would hurt you like this, and now it came true. His tone wasn't angry anymore, just heavy, laced with quiet regret. We had known each other for more than 5 years. How could he? Her voice cracked midway before the tears could fall again. Jungkook wiped them away with his thumb. He didn't say a word, just pulled her back into his arms, tighter this time as if shielding her from the world. How do I trust anyone again? She looked up at him, eyes lost, searching for an answer that might make sense. Jungkook lifted his gaze toward the sky, his jaw tense. You don't stop trusting, you just learn to see clearer. Just enough to live, but enough to let them break you again. She lifted her head slightly, her eyes still glistening, watching him as he spoke. His tone was calm now, sharp, not cold, but grounded, steady like someone who had been already seen the darker side of people and learned how to stand through them. You know, Ian, things like this don't come out easily. It's a loop. People get stuck in it. Most women do. They get trapped, silenced, or blamed. He paused, his gaze drifting somewhere distant before returning to her. I actually admire those who speak up, who don't stay quiet, So, yeah, I'm glad it came out this way. Maybe you are crying now. Maybe it hurts. But this pain, it just saved your future. Mine blinked through her tears, her lips trembling as she tried to hold herself together. His words didn't erase the ache, but they made her heart feel lighter, grounded. I didn't accept his proposal. I'm just sad because he was my friend, and once he was my crush. She looked down, voice faltering. Jungkook studied her quietly, his voice tightening. Then tell me, why didn't you say yes? Vine hesitated, looking away before meeting his eyes again. Because I never really got over that one day. Our fake relationship. It sounds stupid, but it felt real to me. Like I was already committed to you somehow. A faint smile tugged at his lips, quick, fleeting, but he looked away to hide it. And somewhere along the way, I started liking you for real. Jungkook let out a short laugh, rolling his eyes as if trying to brush it off. There you go again, trusting another man too easily. Vine turned, sweating his arms slightly through her tears. John, her voice carried mix of annoyance and lingering affection. Jungkook's lips touched, barely hiding his smile. What? I'm just warning you. I can be dangerous too. You already are, she muttered, turning away with a pout, tears still clinging to her lashes. He watched her for a moment before sighing softly. I already told you I like you. Not just like, more than that, I have feelings for you. She side-eyed at him, skeptical. But I'm not sure if I can take care of you, he added quietly. That did it. She rolled her eyes hard and showed her shoulder. Just go, I'm done. Why did you even come here in first place? He followed and muttered, listen, Muffin, shut up, John. Go to your friend. He smirked, the corner of his lips curling. Ah, jealous. He teased her under his breath. She glared so hard, he immediately cleared his throat. She's getting married, by the way. That made her pause. Through, she turned her face quickly. She came to give me her wedding invitation. All my friends are going with her, with their partners, and I was actually debating whether I should go or not because it would be awkward. But let me guess. Planning to take me as your fake girlfriend again? She shot back, sarcasm dripping. He chuckled, eyes glinting. Nice idea. Her jaw dropped. You know what? She snapped at him and mouthed the last word. He squinted, then in one swift motion pulled her back against him. His voice dropped low, teasing and dark. Do you even know what that means? Or should I show you what it really means? Her breath caught. Next time you'll think twice before saying it again. Because this. Before she could process, his hand slid to her jaw and kissed her firm, sudden, stealing the air right out of her lungs. Her eyes widened, her body going still for a heartbeat as his lips pressed against her. Warm, certain, unending. The world went still. Even her heartbeat seemed to be paused, unsure whether to race or stop it completely. He didn't deepen it. It wasn't rough or demanding, just enough to silence her anger, to ground everything that had been building between them. When finally pulled back, his breath mingled with hers. That's what I meant. Wine blinked, still frozen, her lips tingling and mind blank. You just can't, she stammered, voice trembling. You told me to shut up. He murmured, eyes dropping to her lip again. So I did the only thing that could stop me. That's not how it works, she protested, pushing at his chest slightly, her voice caught somewhere between outrage and disbelief. He tilted his head, a teasing smirk playing on his face. Worked fine to me. You're impossible, she muttered, turning away again, but her heart was chaos she didn't hide. The sting of her tears mixing with something electric that had refused to fade. He reached out, cupping her face, gently wiping away the tears that still clung to her cheeks. His thumb lingered there, soft and steady. I'm not scared that you'll hurt me, Ryan. I'm scared that I might hurt you, and I can't afford that. Not with that. What between us? Her breath hitched, her air suddenly heavy with sincerity. I want to give this a chance, he whispered. Just for you, just for us. He lifted her hand, pressing a soft kiss to it. Her eyes followed him, wide, trembling but glowing faintly with hope. If I date you, he smiled faintly, then I'm gonna wife you up too. Her tears flickered, but this time they weren't just from pain. His eyes glistened too, the kind that smiled even before his lips did. Understand, Muffin? She nodded, voice barely above a whisper. Understood, Cupcake. He blinked, caught off guard, then scrunched his eyes as she leaned forward, planted a quick peck on his nose, the smallest, softest gesture, but it made him go shy in instant. They both laughed quietly, a sound that felt like an exhale after chaos. Before falling into each other's arms again, I'll start searching for a new job then. He chuckled, his hand stroking her hair. No need, I'll change the rules. Special treatment, huh? Nah, he smirked, just trying to match your standards. She laughed softly and hugged him tighter, the kind of embrace that felt like both an ending and a beginning.